They're not talking to you, not answering your messages, not looking at you when you're in the same room, and you don't even know why. You replay the last conversation over and over. You try to figure out what you did wrong. You apologize, sometimes for things you're not even sure happened. You shrink. You reach out. You try to fix it, and they stay silent. This isn't distance. This isn't needing space. This is a weapon. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how it works and why you keep falling for it. In this video, we're going to break down the psychology of the silent treatment, what it actually is, why it's so effective, how it differs from healthy emotional withdrawal, and what it does to you over time, because the silent treatment isn't just uncomfortable. Used deliberately, it's one of the most psychologically damaging forms of emotional manipulation. Welcome to MindFrame Lab, where we decode the hidden forces behind human behavior. Let's start with a distinction that matters. There's a difference between someone who needs a space to process their emotions, who says, "I need some time, I'll come back to this," and someone who simply goes cold, shuts down, withdraws all warmth, all communication, all acknowledgement of your existence. The first is healthy, it's a boundary, it protects the conversation from escalating into something destructive. The second is the silent treatment. And the key difference isn't the silence itself, it's the intent. The silent treatment is not about regulating emotions. It's about controlling the other person. It communicates something very specific without words. I am withdrawing from you until you behave the way I want you to behave. It's a punishment disguised as absence. And what makes it so powerful is that it exploits one of the deepest human fears, the fear of being abandoned, ignored, cast out, the fear that we have done something so wrong that we are no longer worthy of connection. Most people, when faced with this fear, will do almost anything to make it stop. They'll apologize, they'll capitulate, they'll abandon their own position just to restore the relationship to something that feels safe, and that's exactly what the silent treatment is designed to make you do. Stay with me, because what I'm about to explain next reveals why this works even on people who can see it happening. Research in social psychology has found that being ignored or excluded activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. This isn't metaphorical. Your brain processes social rejection in the same regions it processes a physical injury, which means the silent treatment doesn't just feel bad, it hurts, literally. And here's the insidious part. The person giving the silent treatment knows this. Maybe not consciously, but they've learned through repeated experience that going silent produces results, that it brings the other person back, more compliant, more apologetic, more desperate to please. It also does something else. It shifts the power dynamic entirely. In a normal conflict, both people have a voice. There's tension, there's discomfort, but there's also the possibility of resolution. The silent treatment removes that possibility. It says, there will be no conversation until I decide to have one. You are no longer an equal participant in this relationship. You are a subject waiting for an audience. And what happens to you during that waiting? You spiral, you catastrophize, you fill the silence with your worst fears. You convince yourself that you are the problem, that if you had just behaved differently, this wouldn't be happening. The silence doesn't just punish you, it makes you punish yourself. But here's what I need you to understand before we go further, because this next part explains something most people never realize, about why they keep accepting this treatment. If you grew up in an environment where love was conditional, where affection was given and withdrawn based on your behavior, the silent treatment feels familiar. Not comfortable, not okay, but familiar. As a child, you may have experienced a parent who went cold when you disappointed them, who withdrew attention and warmth as a way of communicating disapproval, who made love feel like something you had to earn back, and you learned to respond the way any child would, by trying harder, by becoming more compliant, by doing whatever it took to restore the warmth. As an adult, that learned response doesn't disappear. When someone you love goes silent, your nervous system doesn't evaluate it rationally. It responds with the same urgency it learned in childhood. Fix this. Apologize. Do whatever it takes. The disconnection is not safe. This is why intelligent, self-aware adults stay in relationships with people who use the silent treatment repeatedly. It's not that they don't see it, it's that their nervous system responds to it before their mind has a chance to intervene. And the person using the silent treatment, whether they know it or not, has found the exact button that makes you compliant. Understanding this is not about blaming your childhood or excusing their behavior. It's about seeing the mechanism clearly so you can start to respond differently. One more thing before I tell you exactly what to do. And this is the part that will make the most difference. The instinctive response to the silent treatment is to chase, to reach out repeatedly, to apologize, to fill the silence with your own anxiety. Don't. Not because you should play games, but because chasing rewards the behavior. It confirms that the silent treatment works, that going cold is an effective way to control you. And so it will happen again and again. The most powerful thing you can do is refuse to be controlled by the silence. This doesn't mean being cold in return. It means holding your own ground, saying, once calmly, something like, "I'm here when you're ready to talk. I'm not going to keep reaching out while you're choosing not to communicate." And then a stopping. This is extraordinarily difficult if your nervous system is wired to interpret silence as abandonment. But it's the only response that disrupts the pattern. The second thing is to use the silence productively, not to spiral, but to observe, to notice how you feel during it, to ask yourself, is this a relationship where I feel consistently safe? Or is this a pattern I keep returning to because it's familiar? The silence is information, not about what you did wrong, about who this person is and how they manage conflict. And the third thing, the hardest thing, is to raise it when communication is restored, not accusatorially, but clearly. The way you went silent affected me. I need us to talk about that, because a relationship where conflict is handled through emotional withdrawal is not a safe relationship, and you deserve a safe one. You came into this video knowing that something about the silence felt wrong, that it didn't feel like space, it felt like punishment. You were right. The silent treatment is not a healthy conflict resolution strategy. It's a control mechanism. And the fact that it works on you doesn't mean you're weak. It means you care about connection, that you're wired for relationship, that you're human. But caring about connection doesn't mean you have to accept being controlled through its withdrawal. You are allowed to need communication. You are allowed to expect that the people who love you will work through conflict with words, not silence. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because sometimes the most powerful thing we can give someone is the language to name what they've been living. This channel exists for people who want to understand the hidden mechanisms of human behavior. If that's you, you're in the right place.